Damn.
All right, Jim, take it away.
Good morning. We don't even have a fancy intro this morning. I mean,
Yeah, we can do the intro.
At least do something, right?
I don't know, we haven't.
Does that duck under for you, Chuck?
Say that again.
Does Jim's audio vignettes duck under for you?
I hear it.
Does it duck under? That was the question.
Yes.
It kind of goes, hey, boom,
Yeah.
and then comes back up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it does.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking at that. I don't see a ducking setting on here. I'm not sure
It does.
where that is. I got to go.
Ducking's not the right word. Because it's not actually
I
ducking.
know what you mean now.
Ducking is a technical term, but we're getting way off on
Fading.
this. Ducking is a
It's
technical
fading.
term in the audio industry, yes, where you're playing music at, I don't know, 80 decibels as a number, and then when the microphone detects that you're talking, it lowers the background music down to 40 to let you talk, and then raises it back up when you stop talking. That's the technical term.
Yeah, my editing stuff will do that. It takes more time to figure it out.
Right. This is a
I
high
don't use it that often.
professional level show, high production value. There's a lot of moving parts back here behind the curtain, you know.
Moving parts.
See this arm? I've completely lost this arm.
I can't see it.
Yeah, you did.
That's right.
It's
Because
gone.
it's invisible. This one is signaling Chuck.
He's a one-armed bandit now.
Oh, geez. All right. Boy, these eyebrows, they're out of control.
They are.
Manscaped.
Right. Well, I was supposed to get a haircut this week, and I was too lazy to drive into town to get a haircut while I was on vacation. So I said,
I usually get them both cut.
So Hank
Right.
says that Ape is out watching the new Hallmark movie, which is true. But when you say new, it's kind of a, air quotes, it's kind of a new thing because Hallmark is like this close to coming up with a second plot. Somebody posted that the other day. I thought it was great.
It's always about, and I'm
That's
not
true. It's a
demeaning
feel-good
anyone
thing.
here, and I don't mean it this way, but it's always about a woman
that
that
just sounds
has too
gross.
much drama in her life. You know,
Right.
an
It's
abusive
feel-good.
husband, a kid who's, a terrorist or lights the bathroom on fire or whatever.
Yep.
It's like, other people besides them women have problems, right?
The channel for women with daddy issues.
Guys have problems, right? Can
No.
we can we put a Ford
I don't have
tranny
any
in a
problems.
Chevy? It just depends. I don't know.
That's not a problem. That's a challenge. And yes, you can.
Yes,
That's an
that's an
opportunity.
adapter.
It's an opportunity, right?
Right.
See, right? But we don't need a Hallmark movie about that kind of stuff.
No, we have like a Vice Grip Garage, a 15-minute YouTube
Right.
video done.
We watch this
Like,
YouTube
this is how you
video.
do it.
That's right. Well, you got to get yourself a big set of vice grips and just twist that bastard.
Oh, you're
Stuff there.
mixing Bob and Tom with Vice Grip Garage. I like it. Not
Yeah.
Bob and Tom. What is it?
I know who you're talking about.
Bob and
I
Tom
can't
is a
think of
morning
their names.
show. The guys from Boston.
Yes, those guys. I don't know. Somebody in the chat will tell us, I'm sure.
Do we cheat him and how?
Do we cheat them and how?
They're
All
legal
right,
team.
Don. Don, we didn't need to know that specifically, really. Car Talk, that's the show. Randall got it. But
Car
what are
Talk,
their
yeah.
names? Yeah.
I swear one of them is Bob. I'm going to be completely
Charles,
wrong.
what's going on? How are you this morning? Have you recovered from Thanksgiving? Too much family time?
Well, yeah, I the next morning at 6 o'clock, I left here and went up to the yurt and worked all day yesterday.
Click and clack, the Tappet brothers. Don't be like my
It
brother.
actually-
That's
It actually went really well. I wasn't like super tired when I got back, but we got a lot accomplished. I managed to throw a video out before I left. I had a company on that solar panel. They're like, "Oh, can you have this out by today or tomorrow?" And that was Thanksgiving morning.
Did you like it? I watched
It's-
about half of it.
Tom and
It
Ray
is a-
Magliozzi.
One, so
I was impressed because the first time I hooked it to a voltmeter, the thing put out for 34 volts, and it was like it was just clouds out, nothing else. But I didn't realize, dummy me, I was like, 34 volts, and I wasn't even realizing it was a 24 volt panel. And then Steve said something. I go, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm trying to hook it into 12 volt appliances,
whoops.
But
That's what the charge controller's for, right? Because it steps down that.
Yeah,
amp
but
voltage.
not all charge controllers will take, like the one I hooked in my motorhome with the Victron will take 48 volts. And the one I was hooking it into wouldn't take over probably 18.
Okay.
So it was like no bueno. And then I threw out that that video on the best HF radios under $800. That thing really took off. But I have to tell you, right now it's a really good time as far as Yaesu. Well,
oh no, radios. Okay.
Radio prices right now are pretty good for what you're getting. That 710 you can get for $800.
Yeah,
without the speaker. And I have to tell you guys, I know a little bit about one right now, just as a hint.
And the speaker,
it's a pretty good radio.
So there's the field version, and then there's the AESS version.
Right. Speaker and speaker left.
Yeah. Between the two is the speaker.
Yeah, Don, I didn't talk about the Hermes. You're right. I was kind of like
he did
more
before the show.
Radios in a box thing. The box that you can actually use without a computer. But yeah, I do. I do like the Hermes still.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Mike.
Oh man.
Talk about
Mike
flexing.
went big time. I reckon.
Good job, Mike.
That's you know what?
Ham
I looked at the 101 and the 101 MP. The difference in cost, the MP is a better buy because it comes with almost everything. Versus if you add it to the other one, it costs more. And it's 200 watts.
Like a 200 watt radio.
Has its own power supply, right? Because it's a
right.
50 volt. It's a 50 volt setup, I think, or 48 volt or something like that. So yeah, I mean, right now, compared to when I first got into ham radio, the Yaesu 450, FT450 was probably one of the best low price radios in the 718 from Icon. The 718 didn't have 6 meter or a tuner, and the original 450s didn't either. But for that price, and now for that price range, you're getting stuff, the 710 quality, like or a 7300. They're just
right, Evan.
A lot above it. So
damn knit. There's two M's.
That's about all I got going. I'm leaving here this morning and trying to install a metal roof on our shade structure that we're building.
So you built a metal roof before, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that first metal panel takes about 3.5 hours to get right, and then the entire rest of the roof is done in 5 minutes. Because otherwise the roof goes like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
instead
I know.
Of straight.
And we don't have, the problem I'm having is, I think the panels we bought this time are pretty strong. The last one we put up was just plastic, that plexiglass stuff. But this one's fairly strong, and I think we can maybe get by without having to put anything under it to screw it down if we're careful how we screw it. And it's just a shade structure for the animals to stand under. And, for water, for rain too. So, yeah, it's going to be, the panels though are 18 feet. Or 16 footers. They're no joke.
And what are they about? Yeah. What are those things about? 4 feet
They're a little
wide?
over 2 feet wide, so around 2 foot centers, so they can overlap.
Kind of get 3 ribs.
Yeah,
just one rib.
Yeah, I just don't know if we can get by with 3 screws top to bottom. I'm a little worried about that.
This is an argument. This is an argument right here, Chris. If you already have the 897, I would probably stay away from the. Oh no, sorry, I was thinking the 857. If you had the 857, I would stay away from. Well, I'm not reading that right at all. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Chuck, take it away.
Like playing cards.
I need your opinion. 991 DX10, or I currently have an 897. The 897, any of those radios for your shack is probably better all around because they'll all come with a tuner. They're all 100 watts, just like the 897. The 897 is a great portable radio. You have to add a tuner to it if you need a tuner. You could use resonant antennas. If you want 2 meters or 70 centimeters, the 991.
Yeah.
There's only 200 watt radios out, and I think the 7100 is still sold, right?
Yeah, they just actually started reselling it. I would specifically not buy the 991. You will feel behind the power curve, and the 991 is slated for discontinuation any second now.
That is,
we were talking about this. The 990. We were talking about this before the show. Chuck and I were. The 991 is a good radio wise. Yeah. What Steve's getting at, and this is certainly my complaint about it, is that screen is
the screen's not as good.
It's hot garbage.
I tell you the truth, the screen's actually better than the screen on my 3000.
It's showing its age.
But it's showing its age.
We'll go with that. Well, maybe I'll rescind the hot garbage.
It's a great radio. My thing, and I've said this many times before, if you have one, this is not offensive at all. I really do think it's a great radio. But if you were to buy it brand new today in 2023, the end of 2023 for crying out loud, you will feel like you bought a Commodore 64. It doesn't line up. at all.
Yeah.
The screen is just old, and
Yeah.
it works.
But it
does
has
the
a nice
thing,
screen.
but you
To
feel how
me,
old it
compared to the
is.
7100, it's got a better screen. It's a little more money, but it also comes with a tuner, which
The
give or
7100,
take
yeah,
there. Yeah,
yep,
they're both old,
yeah.
design wise. Actually, the 7100, the screen's similar to the 7300, only it's not color, right?
Yeah, it's the
You've
similar
had both
functionality, but
functionality.
there's no waterfall.
There's no waterfall.
The thing that the saving grace for the 7100 being dated is that it's a mobile radio, so it's not in that category. The 991A being dated and being a desktop radio is
It's
what
mobile.
makes it
They get a
dated.
mobile mount for it. It's just big.
Yeah,
Tom, we're
It's
not harshing on the 991 radio wise. I've had a 991. I thought it was a great radio. What we're harshing on the 991 is that the screen looks really dated on it.
So let's put this into a little bit of a even better perspective. I would hands down love, absolutely 100% love. Every day I would go out and I would kiss its fenders, a 1967 big block Corvette from 1967. If they sold that
Owns a
brand new today,
427.
yeah, it is a 427. If they sold that next to the C8 Corvette as brand new off the factory assembly line today, which would you rather buy? The C8 brand new off the factory assembly line for $2023, or the 67 big block Stingray being sold as a 2023 model brand new off the assembly line for the same dollars? That's the equivalent. Both are fantastic cars.
I would
Tom, I
probably
had the
want a
99
69 Challenger, Dodge Challenger
Yeah.
instead.
I had the
Daytona model.
991A, Tom, and I loved it. I just sold it only because I wanted to upgrade to a newer Yaesu. And I'll tell you right now, I bought a 710 to replace it. And a lot of that's just because the price is so good right now on that
I think the
710.
710 is positioned, and we talked about this when the 710 came out. I know Steve mentioned it specifically.
I wish it had 2 meters.
The 710 is in a weird spot. It looks to me like it's positioned to replace the 991A. Price-wise,
It's
Except
to
it's
go
message
against the
channel-wise.
7300. It's to go against the 7300 is what it is. And what it is, which
But it's
weird to you is
cannibalized the
I come
991 is what I'm telling you.
no, because people that buy 991 want 2 meter and 70. That's why you would buy that radio.
Maybe.
But see, ICOM doesn't offer that in between radio. They go 7300 to 7610, which is a 101, right? They don't have that FTDX10
I mean, it's better than
because it's
one.
somewhere in the
It doesn't
middle.
drift like a 101 does.
Right. Whatever.
I'm kidding, Mike. I'm kidding. Your radio is the best radio ever, Mike. That's me messing
No.
with Chuck.
I
Yeah,
do.
so
Me
I
messing
do.
with the Yaesu man over here.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think we've answered the question. So he's got an 897, which is a
Right.
in the shack radio that you can take portable because you can put a battery in it. No tuner. The 991A is an in the shack radio that wasn't designed to go portable, but you can take it portable. The FTDX10 is a fantastic new modern radio. The 101 is 2 times the FTDX10 in terms of functionality and features and receiver quality and those kind
Yeah,
of things.
you got to tell me how much do you want to pay? What do you want to do? I mean, there's more to that question because if you want to do 2 meter and 70 centimeters, then the 991A,
The only choice, yeah.
hands down, because that's the only one in the radios you posted. If you want 101 performance but don't want to pay for it, FTDX10. Except you only like Tio said, it's half the radio basically. If you want 200 watts, you buy AMP. Which
And
I
again,
forget
it comes
who
back to
bought it.
what Chuck just said a second ago. How much you want to spend?
Yeah. If you tell
much
me
do
you
you
want
wanna
to spend $1,000, buy a 710
Yeah.
because it's
Mike's got
you
it.
take
If you-
$200. You
Mike,
take
Mike got a
$200.
great point. Yep.
If you don't want the second receiver from the 101, then get the 10.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
The 10 is a better radio than the 710. The 710 is a good radio. No argument. It just comes down to a lot of different things. I think like as a brand new ham, if you bought the 710, it would be a good 5-year to 10-year radio, and you probably still wouldn't have touched every single feature that it has. So, kind of put that into perspective also.
I'm finding it
And
has
if
some
you got the
features
cash
that I
for a
really like.
101, and I don't know, Mike said he picked his up at HRO. Maybe they got some deals on and you want to go big. There's not a best radio. It's whatever suits the mission at the time within the
Yeah,
bounds
right.
of your budget. And
It's all
what
about
you're gonna
budget
get
mainly.
not yelled at very much by she who cannot be named in the other room.
If you're an Icon person, buy a 7300. If you
The
want that
101D
710.
is almost twice the price of the FTDX10. almost.
Yeah. And 7610, same thing. That's what turned me off of those radios. It's like, I don't want to spend that much money.
Ryan, the menus, I don't know what they're like on the DX10 and the 101. On the 991, yeah, I thought they were kind of a pain as well. And I favor, this is a personal choice, I favor the ICOM interface over the 991 interface.
Yeah, and see, when I use my 705, I've always owned a Yaesu's. The 705 gives me fits. And most people that would pick it up and never use either one would probably think the 705 is easier.
But Chuck still thinks Windows 95 is super cool. So
it's really hard, man. 95 is like hold me back, I think. But anyhow, the menus to me are not a big thing. I go in, I set my audio settings, from an 891 to my 710 are all the same on a Yaesu, and I'm sure they're all the same on an ICOM also. And then I don't go in the menu. I go into the quick menu, which, if you want to talk about menus, the 705 has a quick menu also, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, to me, it was the same thing. It's just different. They call everything different.
Yeah. My beef with the 891's menu is,
I don't like
Chuck
that
makes a good Chuck makes a good point that, once you set it, you kind of set it and forget it. But in the 891, there's like 3 different places to change the HF power level, and you can't tell in the field by looking at it. There's like SSB power level, there's HF power level, and then there's a third one. I forget what it's called.
AM.
And I went out.
AM, all different things.
I went out to change the power level down from 100 watts so I didn't fry an antenna, and I changed the wrong power setting because it's not intuitive. To me, there should be, like, whatever mode you're in, there should be one power setting. There shouldn't be, like I'm on 40 meters, HF, one power setting, period.
If you're talking 891 menu, I agree. When that radio came out, my buddy let me borrow his, and I had my 857. The 857 menu was way easier to get through than that. The 891, I mean, I don't know. I never liked the.
Chuck just agreed that the Yaesu might have been
that menu system
perfect.
But on a portable radio like that, you don't have the buttons on the front, right? So it has to be. It doesn't matter. I don't care who makes the radio. It's going to have more in.
That's a fairish point.
Things like that.
ICOM got around that with the 7100 and the 5100, and they're portable radios. But now they've got, if you like it or hate it, and it's probably a holy war discussion. But the way that head is made on the 5100 may or may not be a thing for you. That makes it a little weird to mount under the dash.
I would love to go back and change the thumbnail and title on this video and keep arguing about this. This is fun.
I know. We are so far in the weeds, and we're like 20 minutes.
One question, and we're
do we
way
continue
off
the
there.
argument and change the title and thumbnail, or do we actually get on topic? I'm happy.
We can do all of the above. It's our
What
show.
are we talking about today?
Rules.
We talking
Ain't
about
no rules.
Jim's
It's
new
just
toy.
Right.
Yeah,
It's Jim's new toy we're talking about.
Don has it. Don had it before me because Don has everything.
Well, Don has everything before everybody else.
I want to be like Don when I grow up. I do.
Do you? Do
Not
you
really.
really? No. Don's not wearing pants.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Steve, how are you? What's going on? We're not talking about Yaesu versus ICOM or anything else like that. Go ahead.
Chris, I clicked did it move? No, I got it. Chris, there was no apology necessary. This is fantastic. We do this all the time, and every time we're talking about this behind the scenes, I'm always like, can we just go live stream this right now? It's like 3 a.m. in the morning, and we're arguing about what radio is the best radio. Can we just go live stream it and get it over with? This would be hilarious. People would love it. No, so what am I doing? I am getting ready to go to the Heritage Festival today, and then the Festival of Lights later on tonight. Other than that, I'm trying to get a plumbing issue fixed in my RV. One of my hoses, it says it's rated at 150 psi. It has never seen 150 psi in its life, and it's dripping a little bit.
Oh,
so
did you not get the?
Is this an engine hose?
It's a water hose
For drinking.
Did you not get the memo, and you have to use a 40? One of the reducers for pressure. Do you have that?
I did. I did, and I do have it, and I did not put it in place because the place that we're at isn't putting out 150 psi of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, just about every fitting, like buried deep inside the trailer, is PEX, and PEX is amazing stuff. So I shouldn't have to worry about that. But the fittings inside of the wet bay, as you call it, are all this, ice maker type hose. It's the clear plastic hose with the fiberglass cross lace reinforcing in it, and they have
Clamp
those
with a pressure
sponge
clamp.
clamps. Yeah, but it's 150 psi rated. Put 50 psi through the hose, and it's 2/3 under capacity. Shouldn't be a problem.
I don't know where. Yeah, but no motor. If you look in your book, it'll tell you it's not 150 rated.
It's written on the hose.
The hose is probably not the
Yeah.
connection. I've actually gone to places where they warn you, make sure you use and they have them right there for sale because their
Yeah, so
pressure
I've got
was
a regulator.
180 or something.
I've got a regulator that I put in.
I don't know why they don't just build those in from the factory.
I think it's just shoddy craftsmanship, but that's me. I'm bitter. Also, because I hate doing plumbing jobs because it's always at least 12 trips to the hardware store, even if you buy 4 times as much as what you need.
I spend more time driving to Lowe's and back or Home Depot, insert your hardware store here, and then returning, standing in the line, which is apparently return day for everybody else in the world, while I return $700 worth of random fittings that should have been the right part the first 3 times I was at Lowe's.
We're at trip number 4, and I still have one more trip to go. And I hope then I'm done.
I don't even have plumbing to do right now, and you're making me disturbed. You're disturbing my cheek.
Yeah, I don't like.
Do you have the plumbing sweats?
Oh, dude, bad, bad.
Can you sweat a copper line?
Oh,
I have never tried
Can
that.
I? Yeah.
I have a torch.
I don't
easy.
like
know
it.
how to
I
do
hate it.
I've just never done it.
It's all about prep.
What I
and
have
it's
trouble
heat,
with
real quick
is
heat.
there's a trick where you take a piece of like cheap ass white bread, and shove it in the copper pipe, and that's supposed to keep the water away. Because even the tiniest little itty bitty drop of water ruins your ability to get enough heat in the pipe to solder it. It's a pain in the butt. So I stay away from copper. Step 1, convert to PEX. Step 2, profit.
Yeah, and the PEX connectors are just like a shark bite kind of thing. I think that's a brand name.
Sharkbite is a brand name. No, you stick it in. I have them sitting right here, brother.
He's already been to the store.
And Tom has mentioned in radio stuff. He said it helped him a lot setting up his remote station. So good.
True value. So this is a PEX ring, and you need to get a special PEX crimper for it. And it's just it's a ring of copper, and you crush it about that much.
And then it just
so
PEX. like a coax connector, a crimp.
Yeah.
The ferrule, a ferrule is what it is basically. Yep. Okay. Let's see. We've covered plumbing. We've covered Yaesu versus ICOM. We've covered cool new radios. Wow.
We talked about roofing.
We've talked about roofing. We've
not roofing, not roofing.
I was trying to learn.
Roofing.
Right, roofing.
I'm like 2 hours from it, so I need to learn quick.
Goodness gracious. Okay, I've got a couple of videos I need to work on this weekend because for the last 2 weeks I have been like some other YouTubers on another channel that don't put out a lot of videos, and I feel bad. So, we've talked, and I'm going to give you a heads up. One of them is about Ham Study, because that place is great. And they're not a sponsor of our show, but we like Ham Study. Yep. And the other one is going to be some radio testing with my new spectrum analyzer kind of deal. Doing a little demo of that.
Ken, I believe what you're trying to say is FT5.
FT%. Okay. Right. Ken loves that shit.
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time. Hit the old button.
Oh, Chuck, we know. We know.
I know. You tell me all your time.
All day long.
Chuck is on his phone texting. He's texting on the phone.
The phone's terrible. I'm talking on that usually to going down the... Oh, not going down the road.
It's not
Chuck,
any better.
If I was.
Let me give you a hint. Every time that I call you or tell you to call me, it's because I'm tired of typing on Discord and it's making my hands hurt.
And back at you.
It's just like, let's talk on the phone like grown people.
Back at you.
We're not 12. All right. Wow. All right. So this morning we wanted to talk about remote ham radio, which is
a service
that is provided for a fee.
They're not a sponsor
Don
either.
has this, and I believe, and Taylor, who was in our chat, Taylor mentioned this, and I've heard about it before. It's been around for years. It's not brand new.
Yeah, it has. Oh, shit.
But Taylor mentioned that he uses it a lot the other day, and it got me curious about it again. I got RHR curious. And So I looked into it,
You got
and I
you got
signed up for
pocketbook
it.
serious about this. I mean,
It's not that
come on.
bad. Am I going to play FT8 on it for 12 hours at a time? No,
Well, you don't need
no.
to.
But I mean, it's great because you have access to a whole bunch of big stations in various geographical locations, including Europe. Um, so if there's that QSO you want to get, right? Am I ever going to be able to hit Callum from here? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the bands and a whole lot of stuff. But I can also jump to a station in Europe and make a QSO with Callum that way if I wanted to, for example. I used it yesterday. K Murder was out doing a POTA with Ryan, KF5IV. I think I got his call sign close. I don't remember. And so they were doing a POTA at Huntsville State Park, Mike's other home in Texas. And I could hear Mike and Ryan just barely through the noise, not well enough to really even have a conversation. And they weren't live streaming it or anything. I saw them pop up on POTA app, and that's what I was doing yesterday was POTA hunt. And I didn't have a good enough signal for Mike to make the QSO. But I thought, well, I don't have Mike in the log. I want to get this done. So I jumped on remote ham radio, picked a station, aimed the beam at Texas, and now Mike's blowing my doors off because I'm on a beam that's, at 100 feet, 200 feet up in the air.
Right.
You're starting to see what I've been talking about, right?
Chuck, I'm not arguing
Games.
against it. I just don't have the space or the time.
Oh, I
I
know.
just don't have a place to do it.
We got to start you out slow.
Very important. If you are a youth, you get remote ham radio for free.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I think there's some limitations, and I'm going to pull up. Let me pull up their website first.
Pull it up.
Did you just lose it?
I shut down.
Yeah.
That was the ad.
Oh, okay.
Just calm down, Chuck. Calm down.
Actually, Jim and I talked on 40 the other night, and it's probably the last I've ever heard him because he was on he was actually doing the heavy work that night.
Yeah, I was on RHR.
He was on he was on like a 3 or 4 element 40 Yagi.
So they
impressive.
have
Look at
they have multiple stations. They have a very fancy website, and I'm going to tell you, it's not free, and it can be expensive if you're not careful how you use it.
But you're using somebody else's world-class radio, world-class antennas, world-class real estate, world-class internet bandwidth, yada, 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 yada.
Right.
It should not be free.
Right. And honestly, for what you get access to, I don't think the price is that terrible. So I signed up for a month, which is $20. If you can see here, if you go yearly, that's a whole lot cheaper than $20 a month, right? And then you're just paying your airtime usage. And I will probably go to the yearly plan as soon as my $20 month runs out. You get access to 20 stations, and I'm going to pull up the app and we'll look at all this stuff. Most of the stations have an amplifier on them, 500 to 1500 watts, at least on all of them. Let's see. They have a lot of videos on YouTube about the various features in remote ham radio and how to use it. If you're on a Flex, this ain't a Flex commercial, nor is it a RHR commercial. They do integrate with Smart SDR directly, so you can run your software on your computer and use their station over the network. You also don't even need a radio to use this. And Taylor mentioned this to me last week on one of our streams because he is deployed overseas and doesn't have a radio or a way to hook up a radio over there. So he's using remote ham radio to get his ham radio fixing in. And they have a web interface. They also have a standalone app you can use either Mac or Windows, which is cool. And if you're on Linux, they don't have a Linux app, but obviously it'll work over the web. It should. You have to deal with audio interface, and that stuff should work as well. But I think you can pretty much get it. Obviously, I have Flex Radio integration. I mentioned that. So if you look at the stations, these are all big stations, and they're in multiple states. And that's going to play a video with relaxing music. And you can go through the list of stations, and it'll tell you what the hardware is at the station. This one's in Jonesport, Maine, I guess.
that might be the one you used.
I don't remember, Chuck. I don't remember.
You told me 4 elements on 40. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see there's quite and they have purpose-built antennas for each of these bands on this station. This one's $1.25 a minute airtime. Now, let me tell you something about airtime. When you connect to the station, whether you're keying down or not, the airtime clock is running.
Exactly.
For those of you who are pilots,
So
this is like a Hobbs meter. As soon as you start the engine and put electricity to it, the Hobbs meter starts turning.
So let's be clear. This is on top of the $20 a month, right?
Yes.
Make sure everybody understands
Yes.
that part.
Yes. Yeah. So then you can go and look at their hardware. A lot of these are flex radios. I think most of them may be. There's 1 or 2 stations that have a Elecraft amp. So this station tells you what it's got, the location, the grid square. And when you pull up the app, and we'll look at all this, it'll tell you what your grid square is, what county, what state you're in. And they even, in a lot of the in all the documentation, they go over, okay, so you're operating remotely. You're a control operator. So you're responsible for what happens with the station. Right. But like when I talked to Kate MRD yesterday, I didn't give him 5.9 from Alabama for his POTA. I was using a New York station, so I gave him 5.9 from New York. So you're operating, obviously, in another state. And you need to reflect that in your log and in any signal reports you give. So this one is a rotating tower here in Eastport. And the Bay of Fundy, which is way up in the Northeast. And you can see these are not budget stations. And no reflection on Cal, but these are not DX Commanders. These are
those rotating towers, I'm sure, cost a pretty penny.
Look at that thing. There's pleasing music that goes to this too, but I turned the audio off.
Wouldn't want to get a copyright strike.
Right. It's probably Stream Beats, but so, you know. And the airtime varies. So one thing I've discovered about this is a lot of these stations, you can just tune in and listen. And the airtime for listening is like 5 cents a minute, which is not bad. And if you're just trying to copy remote stations or do some shortwave or something like that, 5 cents a minute I can absolutely live with. This station here, 49 cents a minute at 100 watts, 79 cents a minute at QRO. And this guy is on a flex with a KPA 1500 amp and an Elecraft 500 watt amp. So when you go to connect to it, and we'll look at this too, but it'll show you your options for connecting and so on. So these are some East Coast stations. They have one in Phoenix, same kind of deal. Some stations are specific bands only. Some stations like this one,
whatever they have the hardware
bands. Yeah, right. And, you know, Chuck mentioned it, the real estate, or Steve, one of you guys, the real estate for putting all this up ain't free.
So this, if you think about it, is the perfect way to do your own personal ham radio hobby, is to be the owner of the real estate, the owner of all the towers, the owner of all the radios, and then the recipient of all the tax write-offs.
Right. I mean, and I can't even imagine how much money these guys had to put into this just to get one of these stations is easily, look at this. I mean, what is that? $20,000 worth of hardware probably and real estate for this Atlanta station.
Did I say stacked on the 10 meters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Or 6 meters
stacked
6 meter.
6 meters.
5 over 5 stacked.
Wow. I bet you that guy makes contacts on 6.
Here's one in Portland, and the next time Simon does a POTA, I'm going to light him up from this station instead of here. I got him from here yesterday, but...
Did you?
Yeah, it was challenging. It always is for Simon. Of course, he's using...
I was hoping I'd be home. For me, it's easy.
He's using all his Simon-made sketch antennas that he's playing with, so it's always a...
He's always like...
He's always tinkering with it. He tinkers with antennas as much as you do, Chuck.
Sometimes I think more.
So I wonder how many of these antennas in this list at Skowhegan are actually the same antenna. So he's got a 30-meter off-center fed dipole, 40-meter off-center fed dipole, 60-meter, 80-meter, 160-meter off-center fed dipole. Is that all the same off-center fed dipole?
I don't know. They're all at 100 feet. Why do I keep hitting that button? So you have
Taylor's
quite a
saying yes, it's the
selection.
same antenna.
Same antenna.
I would think so.
See, this one's fairly cheap. The W2 Morse system, 39 cents at QRO. This one straight out says it, Steve. All bands OCFD at 100 feet. Man, it's
pretty high.
that ain't shabby, you know? And probably a function of real estate and what they could get in the air.
Well, it's an antenna in a tree.
Right.
Zero complaints. I'm just saying that's an antenna in a tree. So, like, it doesn't have to be a big, huge station to still be a useful station.
Right. Then you have this guy. And I don't know, and I've not talked to these guys, and I think I wish I had, we kind of planned this show quickly. I wish I had reached out to them and seen if we could have got one of them on the show to talk about it a little more.
Yeah.
Than I know about it, but so is this just their friend Bob, and Bob has some towers and a flex, and
it could very well be. So there is another service that does that. I forget what it's called, but there's another service. I think it's called Remote My Rig or something like that, where you can take your own radio and make it publicly available for others to use.
Okay.
But this is a very specific, and besides just the locations, we'll get into this in a minute, but besides just the locations, the software behind this is amazing.
Oh, it is. It really is. It's
cool. Like every bit of what I expect modern ham radio software to do. I can't think of a feature that it doesn't have.
And it looks modern, like it was actually made
in
this millennium.
Looks like it's written in Ruby on Rails, I believe.
So I think
from a viewer's perspective,
they started in New York, I believe, because there's a lot of stations in New York State. So. And you can see there's quite a wide variety of hardware at each station, antenna-wise. And then this one's a Flex and a KPA 500. The Tacoma station is a Flex and a KPA 1500. So, see, this is something I would probably try and hit Hayden on one of these. I think there's an LA station. There's a station in Haiti that... Nice. Helps to fund the Haiti Air Ambulance program. I think this station is offline at the moment. This one is in Palmas.
But you'd have to get your SEPT agreements and your operating privileges squared away before you remote that station.
I think they talk about it, and you're good on all of them. They specifically mention remoting. So let's.
I think next time 6 meters open, you should do that guy that had the stacked 6 meters and try to get Hayden.
Yeah, I want to get Hayden on HF. What I was looking for was the licensing stuff. You do have to send them an official PDF of your license before they'll let you have access, because they want to make sure you're licensed. PDF. Yeah, the official.
Those things aren't digitally signed.
It just says official on it instead of reference.
Right.
I know, it's the same PDF. I know.
Like, this is the way government thinks that computers work, and they have control of the nuclear football.
Right. Frightening. Anyway, so there's a lot of help articles, and I know they talk about it in one of these articles because I was reading it. But in any case, so let's pop out.
Liberty Cave is correct. This is proof that the rabbit holes are uber deep in this hobby. They are ridiculously deep. There's literally nothing that radio doesn't touch in our lives today. But some people take that for granted. While we are cutting edge pioneers and scientists.
Correct. Cutting edge.
Right. And YouTubers, and see, we actually occasionally know what we're talking about. Occasionally.
Sometimes.
We try harder. So what kind of questions have we got, Steve? I haven't been looking at the chat at all.
Nothing so far. Everybody's really agreeing. We've got a couple of people that really heavily use the system and are helping out with some of the things that you're saying. Okay. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they have a station in Croatia, one or two stations in Croatia. And we'll go through and look at all the stations here in a second. They also have, if you want to try it out, I don't think they don't have a free Twiddle Our Radio knob sign up kind of thing. There's no 7-day free trial that I remember seeing. But if you want to learn the interface, they do have a free radio connected that you can tinker with the interface and learn how to drive it before you connect to the money stations. So that's kind of cool. There's no antenna on it. I think it's just a dummy load. You can listen to nothing. But honestly, listening to some of the stations too for 5 cents a minute is fine to figure out the interface, because then you have audio to know what you're doing, tweaking their gain in the audio settings and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty swank. All right, well, let's share that guy, and let me that where I can see it. All right, is that readable enough, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So here is a list of the stations over here on the left side. Now I'm using the app. You can also use the interface, the web interface, if you want to as well. Let me embiggen this to my screen. So I absolutely can't see the chat now. So if you guys got any questions, just holler. So here's our list of stations, and they have multiple stations in the same location. So this is the Jones port, for example. Here's a dedicated 40 meter, dedicated 160.
We'll go back to that.
80.
Yeah, okay. Leave that one there for a second. Can you zoom in on that map to make that map the focus of our display? Not zoom in on the map itself. Make the map the whole map the focus of what we're talking about.
I think I can.
Okay, so zoom back out so you can see the pink blob, because Liberty Cave says that's a serious pink blob, but the arrows that we're seeing are those contacts, because the pink blob doesn't line up with the contacts.
Those are different bands. And that is a great question, and that's one that I can't change until I connect to a station.
Okay.
But that pink blob is where the antenna is pointed.
Oh, okay. That's a totally different thing. You can make contacts in the direction your antenna is not pointed.
Yeah, the pink blob is which way the antenna is aimed at the moment. And if it's on a rotor, you can re-aim it.
Taylor's got it. The lines are the DX spots, not the stations that you've heard. That's the cluster.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. So you can move that pink blob over to that DX window in the European region and start working those stations.
Yep. So let's go to the freebie. And there we go. And then come up here. So with this guy, now this is, let me tie this into, I think that should work. So you set the audio, and they have a wizard for it. And then you click connect. And if you're on a free station, okay, thank you. Oh, so it looks like they have an antenna on it today.
Oh, Liberty, I wasn't arguing with you about it. I was just trying to figure out why the pink blob didn't line up with the contacts. It's a really nice setup that pink blob is where your antenna is currently listening, and it had a lot of coverage. 100% agree with you.
So we can go here.
Jim, you just lost your video.
What?
Yeah, it's like your lights went out or something.
Okay. It's changing camera. I think this phone may be dying. I don't know. Roll with this for now, since you don't need to see my ugly face anyway.
True.
It is a little bit better.
Right? That added 3 dB to the show right there. So you can come down here, set your receive frequency if you want to tweak any of the settings, obviously noise reduction, blanking, all that kind of stuff. The gain, we can turn that down. And then depending on the station, you can aim. Now this is a dummy, it says dummy load. Maybe those are fake spots. They might be feeding a loop or something in, I don't know. But I could tell this thing that I wanted to point to 90 degrees here, and it would aim the antenna. Now you have to have an antenna, obviously, that'll rotate. an off-center fed dipole is not going to rotate.
And you have to remember the world is round, not like the Smoking It thinks it's flat.
Right.
Since he's not here, you can say that.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, we
If
had
he's
discussion
present, we
the other
have to
night.
go along with that whole wink thing of
I
apes.
had to tell Jim, I go, you need to aim it more north to get to me.
Apparently, these are live spots because I know that guy is on doing POTA this morning. I already seen him. Interesting. This
Yeah, so
flex
Taylor
is in
says the
full
spots
duplex.
appear on all the waterfalls just a default in the system.
Yeah. Let's turn down the volume.
You should have Taylor on. He's used this more than you have.
That didn't turn down the volume.
We can't hear it anyway.
We can't hear it.
Okay.
Cobain
Or
is saying
something.
the Earth is round like a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, Taylor, this is one of the features I want to get into. I totally agree. I think this is the money right here. When you look at the DX cluster, you can click on a station and it will rotate the beam, change to the frequency, and get your logbook ready. And all you need to do is type in, signal report and go.
So
be
yeah,
one of the
down
upgrades
here,
I wouldn't mind
there's the
doing.
logging function. You can do FT8 directly from this interface. No WSJTX is required. I actually did a little bit of FT8, 30 minutes worth, until I realized I'd spent $25 playing FT8. So
Yeah, I would not do
anyway,
that.
yeah, I did it once. I'm good. I covered that.
He's over it.
It's
I'm
like
over it.
trying to contest on the wrong bands.
Right.
Right.
I am the warp king. So obviously you can change bands and move around. This is apparently limited to 20 meters only on the test thing, but that's how this works. And then the interface will change based on what you want to do. So if we change to the FT8 mode, then it's going to give us a WSJTX style screen. You'll see your decodes over here, for example, and your messages, and there's where you can put in what you want. It works just like WSJTX. The interface is a little more modern, in my opinion, than WSJTX. You can change bands. All of that stuff works just like it. Your logging, again, is 90% integrated on WSJTX. I mean, on this, if you're doing FT8, it's just like WSJTX. It'll pop up a log box where you can put in any comments or whatever and then log it, since it obviously knows who you're talking to as you're doing a digital mode. But it's pretty slick. So over here on the red, on the left side, any of these stations in red are stations that are actually being used right now. The ones with the little no worky arrow dingus, whatever that is, means they're apparently offline for whatever reason.
Temporarily.
The owner may be using them. So let's jump over to the Chapin station. I guess I can't until I disconnect. Let's see. Chaplin, not Chapin. So there is the directionality of the antenna at Chaplin. And then up here, you can see that it says 5 cents to 19 cents a minute. If we connect in receive only, it's 5 cents a minute. If we connect in transmit mode, it's 19 cents a minute. This is a 100-watt radio on a 100-foot off-center fed dipole. I mean, shoot, that ain't bad, right? If you're on receive only and someone wants to use it to actually spend more money than you, then you're gonna get kicked off, I guess. I haven't been kicked off. It just says they have priority. So we can connect to the receive only one and play around with a good bit of it. Well, that's weird. It's not working. I might have to. Taylor, what am I doing wrong? Why won't that let me connect to this guy? Does that only work through the web? That may be why. Huh. All right, let's try a different station. Let's go. Nope, maybe not. Something
Too
a little
expensive?
cheaper. Yeah, I mean, I like you guys, but I don't really want to burn $1.25 a minute.
When Jim pumps the brakes and says this is too expensive, it's really expensive. Garth, $9.99 super chat to help cover Jim's airtime cost for the stream. Thank you very much.
Garth, thank you.
And we do have new bumpers coming. Simon, our friend over at Ham Jazz, has sent in the audio. It sounds amazing. So I just got to get those produced and uploaded.
So here is the FT8. Now we're on. I think I clicked listen only for now, but this is what the FT8 interface looks like. You get spots, and this is very similar to Smart SDR, the Mac version, more so than the Windows version, I think, but it works well. And then you can see which way your signal is.
Exactly, Dave.
What comments am I missing? Because I can't see any of that right now.
Yeah, so we got a membership milestone chat from Todd, KR1W. He's been a member for 12 months. He says, cheers to a year. Todd, right back at ya.
Florida Todd.
And then right after that, we had a question pop in. And the question was from Sean. Does the software recognize license class and only present what you are allowed to transmit on?
I don't know. And as I'm an extra, if it does,
There are no limits.
there are no limits. I assume since these are all U.S. stations, you're going to be limited to the U.S. band plan.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to transmit, you can't do 4 meters. Some of these stations do cover 2 meters, by the way. So you could do 2 meter FT8 at $1 a minute, if that was your jam.
Yeah. Greg is asking what the website is. This is Remote Ham Radio. Jim, what's the URL for this? RemoteHamRadio.com?
RemoteHamRadio.com. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is a pay-to-play, usable, amazing station.
It is. I mean, even their low-end stations are honestly better than mine. I've got a great radio, and I've got a DX Commander, but I'm limited by geography. I'm limited by, buildings, stuff like that.
So the Florida Todds are having a conspiracy. They want to get together and POTA today.
Nice.
Make that happen, guys. So is it the Florida's Todd, or is it the Florida Todds, or is it the Florida's Todds? It's the Florida Todds.
Florida Todds. I'm going with Florida Todds.
Taylor saying it does not track license class for Sean's questions earlier.
Okay. And Taylor has used this a lot more than I have.
Right.
So let's see. Let's move up to we're on 32 dB of gain. I'm not seeing a whole lot yet. You can change frequencies by dragging. You can also do that. That probably was why we weren't seeing anything, because I was zoomed in so far. So there's your spots. And if I want to go talk to this guy, I can go over there, drop it on him.
I think you're quite on frequency.
And we are hearing that, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
There it is.
There's CQ POTA. It's
And it is really easy to be a hair off frequency.
Yes.
Those little dongles, those RTL dongles, that's what I found with those things. Hard to get them.
Well, he typed in, he clicked on 14260, I can see it. Like the waterfall, it looks like it's 200 off.
Yeah.
Well, he was
So
perfect.
where
and then
he
moved
clicked
it.
was right.
See how the
Right.
line is a little to the left of the signal edge?
Yep.
That means it's on upper sideband.
Kilo Charlie 1 November Echo, Kilo 9756.
14260.
Oh yeah, and I'm on a receive only station, so I was going to key up. Well, let's disconnect and let's reconnect. What is it? 30. I'll do 30 minutes.
500 watts.
Whiskey 5, Mike Delta Whiskey Park to Park. Go ahead.
Now on this particular station, obviously it's an OCFD, so I can't re-aim the antenna.
Kilo 9756 QSL. Yeah, nice signal up this way, and good luck with your activation.
Down here we can set
Mr. KC1NE.
whether we want the amp on or not.
I can hear him.
Whiskey Tango 1 Whiskey.
Whiskey Tango 1 Whiskey, you're 5'9".
QSL, you are 5'7", Alabama.
Okay, QSL, the 5'7", Alabama, 73.
Oh, wait a second. My bad. You are 5'7", New York. I'm on a remote station. I'm sorry. 5'7", New York.
Got a QR incoming phone call.
I can hear both.
Right back.
And he just went offline.
Yeah.
So he'd be right back.
I don't know what his call sign is. I have to go figure that out.
It's KB. Well, look at the spots page. Let me look it up for you.
Okay.
Band 20 meters. We're looking at the guy that's at 14,260. 14,260 is KC1NE.
And I got a 5'9", and I sent him a 5'7".
Do you need his park number?
I don't ever note park numbers.
Okay.
No, I don't. I never save those.
All right. Cool.
I know some
Done.
people do, and I just don't.
We got a super chat from Jim, AJ9FE. Thank you very much, Jim. Jim says, good show.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Kilo 6 uniform Sierra Yankee. Are you still listening?
Are you? No, I got the volume down. Let me turn it up. Some jackass is tuning it.
Somebody's tuning up. Can you
Notch
hear that
it.
too?
Yeah.
Now
Okay,
guy's
this is
whistling.
Kilo Charlie 1 November Echo. Back from the phone call. Sorry about that.
Hit him, Chuck.
You got to answer the phone when the XYL calls. Hi. This is KC1NE at Park Kilo 9756.
Kilo 6 uniform Sierra Yankee.
I'm a little too far south for Chuck.
Kilo Delta 2, Whiskey Hotel Golf, you're 5'9". Okay, thanks for the 5'9", New York, 73. Sure, this is KC1NE.
Kilo 6 uniform Sierra Yankee. Turn my tune off here.
Chuck, I'm going to mute you on our side.
You're about a 5'7" into Kilo 9756.
Yeah, we can barely hear Chuck on the remote ham radio station.
Yeah, I heard him.
You're back, Chuck.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I heard
73.
Chuck,
Have
but
a good time there.
It was low.
I'm only running 100 watts, so.
So this is just freaking
turn it
cool.
off.
Just absolutely
is.
freaking cool.
I could hear Jim too.
Jim, let's see if we can find a station that has a rotatable beam.
Okay. All right, let's disconnect from that guy.
Because it would be really cool since Chuck's got his beam if we could, rotate your beam away from Chuck and see what Chuck hears.
Well, this looks like a winner.
See that you can't hear Chuck?
No, what is an 8-element LFA?
LFA is it looks like a Moxon. The driven unit looks like a Moxon.
So that's
It's
not
closed.
rotatable.
They're a little bit. Yeah, it's rotatable.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
it's a Yagi basically.
Do you want me to get a West Coast station, Chuck?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the farther away, the better. Like New York would be good.
Don wanted me to turn on the amp, and I'm like, hey, I got him without the amp. I don't need it. Plus, I'd have to tune it, and that'll take a little more. Couple
Look
seconds.
at that. They even have interference there, too.
Yeah.
Vern with the $10 super chat to cover expenses of the show. Much appreciated, Vern. Thank you.
This guy.
Thanks,
So
Vern.
that station's. Any of those going to work for you, Chuck?
Oh,
6
I
meters.
don't know. I have 6 meters hooked up, I think, but I doubt that
Clock's
would work.
ticking. Chip chop.
Chuck,
What do you
let's
wanna-
figure out
I don't
what's,
know. I can't
what's
see
the,
what
what's
you're-
the best way to demonstrate. He's in two land. What's the best way to demonstrate the
let me kill
rotating
that.
of the beam to you?
He could turn it
What's blueberry?
northeast,
I
and
can
then
adjust blueberry.
and then turn it the opposite at that and see what the difference is. You got to pick a frequency. You're at 14, right?
Yep. Let's go to 20 meters. Sideband. Let's go to an extra. Oh wait, you're not. Never mind.
Tim is saying that LFA stands for loop fed array.
Yeah. It looks like a Moxon, actually.
Lee, you've
Looks
got
like
the
you're-
RTL SDR. You can get a waterfall with that.
Yeah.
Chuck, let's try 14251.
251.
Now
Okay.
I'm
I was
aimed
at 50.
south.
So you should not be able to hear him, Chuck.
I'm aimed at South America, so
14251.
let me turn up my
There,
volume.
I'm there.
All right, put out a call,
You guys
Chuck.
can- Kilo 6 uniforms.
Yeah, and see, we can't hear him. Jim, can you put out a call, see if Chuck can hear you?
All right. KK6USY, Whiskey Tango 1 Whiskey.
Yeah, I hear you. You're not even moving my meter, though.
Okay, now rotate the beam over to him, Jim.
So you
Towards
should go
Chuck
probably
or
like northwest. Probably be good.
So like to Europe. And you want me to go northwest or northeast?
No, you see where it says 180 at the bottom there, Jim?
Yeah.
Turn that to, we're going to try and go that way, so 270 and then hit go.
Something.
Okay,
Type
so
in
you want me to go
270 and
toward-
hit go. Type
You
in
can also hit
270.
the presets,
You can.
except it's apparently going to rotate the line.
Okay, we're going to watch it rotate around the long way round.
How many hams does it take to watch an antenna rotate?
140.
You also have to be really patient with this, and I don't have a rotating antenna or a beam. So you
Hello there, KK6. Who was hi,
need to kind
Chuck?
of figure out which way you're going, and it's going to take a hot minute.
Say that again.
Rotator's noisy.
SKT. Oh, that was Don. Hey, Don, how you doing?
Let me turn my volume down while that's rotating.
I got you, Don. Sorry, they were talking in my ear when you said that. I figured it out finally. Don's nice and loud.
Don is always loud. I can hear Don here in your speaker.
He's a little wobbly though. I don't know.
He's drifting.
Well, you're probably running at what 500 watts. Are you there yet?
Yep. Pretty much aimed straight at your head.
Oh, Taylor's got a
Okay.
good tip for you. Join a big gun station on 100 watts. Select where you want to point it and disconnect. The antenna will rotate, but you won't be spending the monies waiting for it to turn. Come back after a couple minutes and join in again at high power.
I'll copy that. Don.
Taylor, my man. Oh,
That's Hammond Harder. That's brilliant.
that's a pro tip right there, son. That is a pro tip.
All right, Chuck. He's got the beam landed on you. He's smothering you with RF. Hit him, Jim.
Okay, I'm listening.
Let me turn my volume back up.
Wow,
Kilo
that was loud.
6 Uniform Sierra Yankee Whiskey Tango 1 Whiskey CQ.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, you are 5'9" now. 5'9". Very sick.
QSL. Mute your mic
I got him.
All right, Jim.
9 plus 59 plus 5.
Yeah, just
100 watts here.
KK6 USY clear.
5-7 here in
Ah, there's Don. November 5, Sierra Kilo Tango. Copy that. You're about 5-7 here as well.
very good. Thank you. Whiskey Alpha 2, Italy Victor Delta Mobile.
Whiskey Alpha 2, India Victor Delta. Go ahead. You're about 5-6, 5-7.
Hey, Jim. We're mobile in the truck here in Kansas. Just heard you guys
I can't hear him.
the stream and thought I'd reach out and say hi.
QSL, appreciate it, man. Glad you're listening to us. Occasionally, we actually talk about radio on this show. We appreciate it a lot. Good talking to you, brother. Whiskey Tango 1 Whiskey clear.
Now, what are you on? What kind of antenna?
This is 2 arrays
I can't hear
of...
you guys. I don't know what you said. That's okay.
So it
Said
says
somebody
2...
was 10 over.
Chuck, if you look right at the top of the map, it says 2 X arrays, 3 beams, 12L at 95 feet. 3B-12L. I'm assuming that's 3 beams of 12 elements.
That's a lot for 20, man. That's
times
huge.
2.
I'm not really.
So folks at home, while Jim and Chuck were having their QSOs, I was trying to mute their StreamYard mics, their YouTube stream mics, so that you could hear the audio coming through the radio more clear. So when you were hearing Chuck talk, it was through Jim's radio. When you were hearing Jim talk, it was through Chuck's radio. So it was a really good signal.
And this, I don't know what's
Did that
the
have
deal
40
with this
also?
stupid camera.
Did that have 40 also on that?
It's going full stupid.
That station, James?
I don't know, Chuck. I'm trying to fix the camera.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the phone's not dead. The phone is on, but it just decided
There
the
you go.
camera
You're
was going to
back.
go away.
You got it now.
It's
And
very. I'm askance, I know.
Wouldn't want to see through
So-
the matrix.
It is.
So 40 would be more impressive, but I can
Super
give you
cool.
power on that easily because I'm already tuned there. If you had it.
And guys, if I made a QSO with you on the stream, please hit me up in Discord so I can log it because I
There's a lot
remember
going on
Don
here.
and yeah, there's a lot of input and I wasn't writing anything down.
And Don was on his hex beam.
So what
pointed
Taylor is
northeast.
saying is if you look at the station list on the left where Jim's got it highlighted W2/Blueberry, it says all bands. So Jim would be able to switch over to 40 meters for Chuck.
Yeah, yeah, and it gives you the all the data about the station, and this is what I was talking about when I log it. If I use one of these stations to make a QSO,
yeah.
I'm going to make
Yeah, I
sure
can
that
hear
I
it.
put down that I was using, and this is not a legal thing, it's a me thing. You know, I made this contact with Chuck on the Blueberry station with a 1500 watt amp, whatever, and a smoking hot antenna system. So pretty cool. And you can't do a whole lot unless you're connected. Taylor's pro tip, I'm going to remember that because I sat here yesterday or the day before. I guess it was yesterday when I was trying to talk to K-Murder in Texas. And I had to go through the same thing, watching that thing rotate around the wrong way. It was about 20 degrees away from him if it had gone the right way.
Well,
So,
mine only goes so far each way.
well, that's probably what this is. I'm sure there's a stop in it or something too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have one. And it's not letting me log it because I'm not connected to the radio at the moment. So I'll have to put it in manually in a little while.
I mean, that's a good signal. The other guy was, S5 to me, the POTA. I don't remember
Yeah,
where he
wasn't
was.
super strong. I'm not even sure where he was at. I don't know what. But I mean, this covers pretty much the entire United States except Oregon and Washington. The way this thing is aimed at the moment.
And then you can
Yeah,
re-aim
Don
it.
was actually Don was doing really good because he was actually aimed more towards you than me, and he was
Right.
still nice and loud.
Don may have been at his sister using his radio, his Flex at his sister's house, which makes her TV act weird. She yelled at him last night. We were doing the HF net on HRCC.
Good morning, Cliff.
And Don was loud and clear using the Flex, and then his sister started texting, "Oh, I got to change radios. I'm messing with her microwave or TV or whatever."
I forgot that last night. I was gonna be.
Oh, it was huge. There was like 60 freaking people in there, man. Check-ins were like 45 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you were there for a short time, it's like check in and leave. If you stayed for comments, I kind of was in and out because after a while I was like, oh God, I got to get up. I got to pee. So that's it. I mean, this is something you can this is just cool. And now, if I want to go play radio while I'm at a ham fest, instead of schlepping a whole bunch of gear along, I can always remote into this. I would probably bring my own gear, but you get the point. And they've added a bunch of new stations, all with different antennas.
Yeah, so somebody mentioned this earlier on in the stream. If you are a Logbook of the World user, you can upload your certificate to Remote Ham
Yes.
Radio, and it will fill out and transmit as your log for your station time to LOTW on your
Yes.
behalf.
Yes, it does.
Oh, nice.
I got mine linked. And if you're not an LOTW user, you should be. We probably need to do a show on that, or one of us needs to do a stream.
I refuse.
I know. I thought about it the other
I'm
day.
not.
It's such an archaic pain
They're
in the
fixing
butt.
it, and credit to them for fixing it, but postcard through the mail security is still not security.
Well, and I read something the other day. Somebody made the comment that LOTW is not a logging service; it's a verification service.
Mhm.
And it's like whichever you want to call it, that's fine. But the whole lash up is just duct tape and glue. And don't get me wrong, I got no beef with the ARRL. And I know they said they've been fixing it, and I've heard that for a year or so now. Maybe hire somebody except your brother-in-law's kids. I don't know. Get a real programmer.
So our buddy over at Ham Radio Prep is making a LOTW killer. I think it's called World Logbook or something like that, or I don't
Okay.
know. It's online and it already looks better just because it's web based to begin with.
Right. I think that's the
World
problem I
Radio
have with-
Championship or something like World Radio League. I'll have to
Who's
look it
that?
up. The Ham Radio Prep guy.
Oh, okay.
That's basically the problem. And I see somebody's. Oh, this is a different station. Never mind. I moved. That's the problem with LOTW is the interface is just
World Radio
archaic
League.
and complicated. And if you're not an IT person, I don't know. I think it's complicated, and IT is what I do. So you've got some stations over here in Europe. I don't know where Palmas is at.
KP4, it's Puerto Rico.
Is that? I thought that might be. So here's one of the Croatia stations.
Maybe you can use that one.
Which is super cool. And you can see this
Look at
one's
that
on a
antenna.
100-foot dipole. So that might be cool to get some FT8 on. What's his?
Holy moly. Taylor with
49 cents a
the
minute.
$100 reals.
Yeah, thanks,
Atari
Taylor.
reals. Thank you very much.
Taylor, appreciate it, brother.
So this is what Taylor's using exclusively, or does he do any portable stuff? I forget,
No, Taylor's.
because I
Not
think where he's
able
at,
to.
he can't do anything.
Yeah,
right?
he can't do real radio. He's got to do. Jason, I'll go with that. It's not a complicated IT person thing. It's just antiquated and horrible user interface. Yes. My point
Yeah,
was,
1980s.
unless this is something you do on a regular
maybe I
basis,
should check it out.
for the average person who's not, who doesn't do this kind of crap, I think it's hideous.
Keep in mind, we do have some ham radio operators that are having trouble doing SSB.
Right.
Now we introduce postcards through the mail, internet-based security with copying a key file from computer to computer and loading and installing software.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then having to save the key somewhere because you know they'll leave it on their desktop and then end up getting frustrated and deleting all their icons on their desktop, including their key file. So it's a pretty cool system. I really enjoy it. And like I said, I'm probably going to go ahead and sign up for the annual fee just to save a few bucks on that, and then play with some of these European stations. I really want to get Callum, for example. Now, I'm not going to cheat and use a Croatian station to get Callum. I'll probably use one of these big New York stations and aim a beam at him. But
Well, that should be easy.
right,
Check.
right. And I've heard him here. I can hear him here, but I just don't. The last time I was listening to Callum here, I didn't have an amplifier either, so I don't know. But it's another tool in your arsenal of radios to play with. And
Chuck, I muted you.
Why did you mute me?
Because Kathy's doing a financial transaction with him.
Do what now?
You see how he's
Chuck.
talking to somebody?
Oh, I thought you said Jim. I thought you said
No.
Jim.
And he's back.
I'm sort of back here. Hang on.
You're back.
Orlando stuff.
Awesome.
Prices must have went down today.
Yes. Yes, it is. Anyway. And like I said, with the web interface, you can use this pretty much on any computer, whether it's Mac, Linux, or Windows, whatever. So if
That's
you're
cool.
Windows averse, if you're Windows
Jim, when are you going to
forward-
start subletting your Flex?
You know, that's an interesting idea, and it
He
could
puts his beam up.
supplement my remote ham radio
Yep.
fix.
So Vern is saying that he got Callum from Texas, 580 watts on 17 meters. Jim, there is hope for you.
I could do it. I just haven't caught Callum on the air since I've set up all this, so I don't know.
No, he's saying he did it with his station, and he's farther
Yes.
away than you are.
That's what I'm saying. I haven't tried to get Callum since I've got an amp here and all
Oh, okay.
this. Not
When you
remote
said
ham
set up
radio.
with, yeah, it was hard to tell which one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Callum used to do a cool thing because, as a general, he and I technically can't talk on, I think, 20 meter, but he'll transmit above and below where generals can actually talk to him.
Oh, side boom. Look at him rolling in with his mobile.
Yeah, well, yours is like 9,000 watts side boom.
Ham Force One.
Yeah, when you're around those
Right.
CB amplifiers.
I so want to steal that from him, but, I respect other people's intellectual property.
So I guess that's about it for today. I don't have anything else specifically. Just wanted to kind of share that we thought it was a cool thing, and you guys may appreciate
It is cool.
And like
Not
I
for
said, if you're a
everybody.
Flex user, it integrates with the Smart SDR software from Flex, so you can use your own software interface. That interface is doing the same thing. It's interfacing with the Flex API, which is open. So pretty gnarly. All right. Unless there's any other outstanding questions, I'm going to hit the button and go do Saturday.
Thanks,
things.
everybody.
Guys, we appreciate it. All the super chats. Thank
Really
you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Say
all.
bye, Chuck.